everybody. Thank you for attending tonight's Zoom program. I'm April. I'm coming from you from Islin, live in my house. And we are recording this program. So we're muted while Ken is talking. We're going to have the microphones muted, but we will have a chat. So I'll monitor the chat. So if you have any questions, you can ask. And maybe at the end of the program, probably at the end of the program, we'll ask for questions as well. I'm just trying to protect people's privacy by having the microphones turned off and the cameras turned off. Also want to let you know that Ken Vercammen is an attorney in Edison. He is co-chair of the ABA Probate and Estate Planning Law Committee of the American Bar Association Solo Small Firm Division. And he's also the author of the ABA book, Wills and Estate Administration. And you can find out more about him at njlaws.com. So welcome, Ken, and I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, April. I'm waving to everyone who's watching, listening. So my name's Ken Vercammen. Let me fix my tie so I look good. Okay. So we talk, have talks and like, well, what's new? Well, there's this thing where like courts are closed, the surrogate's closed. Well, how are we able to keep functioning? Well, way back in March of this year, I'd say we still had people that want to get wills done, but also more importantly, get living wills and powers of attorney done. And then we had a big rush in April because people say the people are in the hospital, you can't even visit them. We need, there goes, I need to get a power of attorney done for me, or I need to get one for dad. Well, we could not go to the hospital, but we could still prepare documents. So how are documents being done? I'd say to assist clients and seniors, my office, other attorneys, we're doing document preparation remotely and consults remotely. So logistically, what we would do is we would email people the interview form and then have them go to their computer and type up some details on the will questionnaire. And during the program, I'll go more into what's in the will questionnaire. And in a way, it made me be much more efficient because what for the prior 30 years, we would mail out by post office the questionnaire, and someone would take a pen and fill it out, and then they'd come in and I'd have to try to figure out what someone's handwriting was. And now the people didn't even have to even come into our office. They could type up the details, email it to us. I'd give them a call. They'd pay by credit card. We'd prepare the documents. We'd email everyone the documents, and we'd email them in a Word format so that if there's something as easy as trying to change the spelling of someone's name because they made a mistake, they could do that. Then the people would print out the documents, and a will has to be signed in front of two witnesses and the notary. Well, a lot of the notaries were closed. Libraries were closed. The banks were closed. However, the UPS store was closed and was open, and they have a notary service. So people were signing their documents in front of the notary at the UPS store with two witnesses. A spouse can be a witness when it's a first marriage situation. So we've been, despite things being closed, we want people to stay safe, but we still want people to get their important documents done. So we strongly recommended people have a will and also a power of attorney in the event they became temporarily incapacitated or hospitalized. The doctor's office similarly has, you go to the doctor's office, well, you would fill out details ahead of time. Well, now the doctors are having you type in the information, email to them. So we're trying to make it as as expeditious as possible for everyone. And we've also been doing remotely living wills with combined advance directives for healthcare. So if someone, a living will is not only, when you think of living will, a lot of people think of, oh, someone's in a coma, irreversible condition. However, also a living will is you're giving a medical power of attorney for healthcare or medical proxy, so that all of a sudden if someone's in the hospital, it gives like the person that they picked the ability to talk to doctors and go over what's best for someone, because sometimes people can't, they can't talk. And everyone makes their own decisions, and it's sometimes it's medical issues. So anyway, let me get into now the main portion of the presentation. People have always asked us, we meet people in events. Why do I need to have a will? I'm married. Doesn't everything go directly to my spouse? And I goes, well, I'd say that doesn't, that's not good planning. That's bad planning, because you can't predict when the second person's going to pass away. So let's see, if someone doesn't have a will and they have children, let's say no spouse, well, the process to distribute assets becomes much, much, much more complicated. So let's say there are 3 kids, 4 kids. Well, it would require all the children to select someone or agree upon someone to be the administrator of the estate if there's no will. Then all the children sign a renunciation affidavit in front of a notary agreeing upon who's going to be the administrator. However, if all the children don't sign the renunciation affidavit, then the person who wants to become the administrator would have to file a complaint in order to show cause in the Superior Court. And then there'd be a hearing, a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months in the future. Well, and they're spending over $3,000. Everyone has to be notified if one person doesn't sign it. So certainly having a $300, $400, $500 will would save the family money. Also, if there is no will, then the person who becomes the administrator has to apply for and obtain a surety bond, kind of like an insurance policy, but they're spending $1,000, they don't get the money back. If there's no will, or I always say if the will is declared invalid because it was not properly signed or is not admissible to probate, then state law determines who gets assets, not you. And more people are saying, hey, let's say, I don't need to have all my assets go directly to the kids. Many times they'll say, I want to go to the grandkids. My kids themselves are already grown. They have their own house. I want the money to go towards the kids' education. So remember, it is your decision who's going to get your assets, and having a will makes sure that your wishes are carried out. One of the, my office client was in and asked me the question, do I have to treat all my children equal? I goes, no, it's your call on what you want, what's your concern? And she says, well, one of my sons lives out in the West Coast. We don't hear from him much. I said, well, on Mother's Day, did he get a card or a call? She says, no. On Christmas, did he get a card or a call? No. On your birthday, did he get a card or a call? No. So I said, so you don't hear from this person for years at a time. Why should you leave him anything? But the most important reason for having a will is so that, I'd say, things go smoother, because a lot of times when there's not a will, it causes fights, arguments, sometimes even lawsuits amongst the family. So when people are grieving, let's say, and dealing with the loss of a family member, they shouldn't be overwhelmed and burdened with one more thing because something wasn't done. So we're going to talk about now, who do you want you got to think about who do you want to get your assets, sometimes who you don't want to get your assets. I'd say, So now also beware of these online forms. Never use a form because a lot of times people don't fill them out right. And even though Snake Oil Online says valid in all 50 states, let's say sometimes it's not admitted to probate. You know, so nobody smart tries to do their own electrical work on their home anymore. Nobody tries to change their own oil. Have a professional do it right. And a lot of times when you sit down with a professional, they'll discuss with you ideas on how to make things go smoother for the family. So I mentioned that there's a short questionnaire that's filled out. So believe it or not, New Jersey reduced the tax. Let's see, the New Jersey estate tax went away last year. There is no New Jersey estate tax. Let's see, there is a federal estate tax, but that doesn't start till over $11.5 million. So not too many people that are in like Woodbridge and Edison have $11.5 million. Now, it could come back in a couple of years. You know, the governor's looking to try to find ways to spend money to go through all their plans and stuff like that. So, but at least now New Jersey doesn't have an estate tax. So that is important for everyone because our questionnaire used to be 10 pages long, asking a whole lot of questions about assets. Let's see, and now it's only 3.5 pages long because I don't need to know about people's assets. I ask them questions. Do you have more or less than $11.5 million? They say no. He goes, okay, you got good news and bad news. The good news is you don't got to pay any federal taxes. The bad news, you don't got to pay it because you got under $11.5 million. Now, our questionnaire asks who's going to be, who do you pick as executor 1 and who do you pick as executor 2? They'll sometimes say, well, I like to have joint. They go, never have joint. That's terrible. That's the worst thing to do. There's a reason why there's only one steering wheel. There's only one captain of the ship. And even if they're twins living together, by having joint executors, you're creating twice as much work. 2 people got to go to the surrogate. 2 people got to sign the listing with the realtor. 2 people got to sign the contract. 2 people got to sign the addendum. 2 people have to sign every single check. So you have an executor 1 and an executor 2, and that's how it is. That's how it is best. And sometimes they don't agree. So you have one and then another. We do ask people in our questionnaire, where do you have real estate? Because New Jersey is a probate easy state. Other states are much, much more complicated. My mother-in-law used to call me every other year, oh, I want to have a trust done. And I would say, were you watching Susie Orman? And she says, oh, yes. He was. Susie Orman is right if you live in New York, California, Florida, where the probate process is very complicated. But New Jersey, the probate process is easy. So I ask most people, why do you want to spend $3,000-$4,000 on setting up this trust and transferring your assets into a trust, when a $400 will do the job for you? But we do ask, where do you have real estate? Because if someone also owns property in another state, the main probate is in New Jersey where they live, but then there's a thing called ancillary probate in the other state. So if someone has a condo in Florida, I say, listen, you might want to put that condo into a limited trust while you own it. We next go into we never list assets in the will, and clients have said, why? I said, because you can't prepare a list of what assets you're going to own on the day you pass. Also, a will is a public record, so you never want to have something in the public that has account numbers, and it's not a public record until someone passes. Just let me make that clear. Now, a will takes care of assets that do not have a beneficiary. but certain assets do have a beneficiary and a will cannot change them. What are some of those examples? Well, the most common is a house owned by husband and wife. If it's owned husband and wife, automatically goes to the survivor. That's called tenants by the entirety. A will cannot change that. I hope that April can hear me, because I'm going to continue going. Let's see. Now, sometimes we have issues where assets are owned by what's called contract. Contract is where it goes, where there's a listed beneficiary. So examples of that are, let's say, IRA, 401k, life insurance, annuity, pension plan, anything that sets forth a beneficiary. And obviously things that pass by title, bank accounts, if it's payable upon death, that goes direct. And so then you want to set forth who's going to get your stuff. Let's say, so most people they want to go to their own family. Let's say, but you also have to set forth who's going to get things in the event that that person that you've picked has passed away. Let's say there's two kids. Typically it goes to children, and if one of them passes, to grandchildren, otherwise the other person. Sometimes though, people might say it's going directly to my children. Some people have what's called a specific bequest. That means that it goes directly to an asset goes to someone. So sometimes ladies will say, I want to have my jewelry go to my granddaughter. Sometimes guy says, I want my baseball cards to go to this person or that person. Now also, I think there's also a chat button. Let's say, so we're going to, I'm going to keep talking, and people can, I think, send me information through the chat button that the library set up, and I'll just keep talking. No assets need to be listed in the will unless it's going directly to someone. Also, some people have, I mentioned that, you put that who's going to get your stuff. We have specific bequests. Sometimes I have what we call the reverse specific bequest. With that, it's where you're saying, I'm not giving anything to someone. Hey, I'm not sure if April, who's from the library, can hear me. I'm not a tech person, so I guess she can get back on and talk. Most people, sometimes someone will say, I'm not giving money outright to this particular person, but they're not going to get their money till later on. And I told April to call me, but she could either talk to me or call my cell phone. Anyway, life insurance goes to whoever you have as the beneficiary. Hold on. Let me type in. Oops. April has my cell phone. She can talk to me. Oh, that must be library. Hello, April from the library.
Technical
Yeah.
And I'm being actually recorded.
Okay, well, don't say anything dirty, but
Yeah.
can you hear me or but you can't see
hear
me?
you,
But you can't
but
see
I don't
me.
think you can hear me.
I can't hear you. I can only hear you from the phone. That's why I said call my cell phone.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I don't know. Again, I'm not a tech person. I got and I usually have good internet because I got off my office here. So
Let me try stopping your video and muting you.
okay.
Let's see if that does help.